Alright, let me help you build this in Onshape. I'm going to build this from the front view. So right click, new sketch. I'm going to start with letter A. Again, there's many different ways that you could do this, but I like to start with letter A, or part A. Part A is here. It's 9 by 3.5. So I'm going to take this. So I go 3.5 and 9. And it's extruded 0.75. So I'll just hit the extrude button right away. 0.75. And there is my first part, part A. Next, let's put the sides on. You can see the sides protrude past the bottom of part A, the sides being part E. So let's run to part E. Those are 10.25 by 1.5. That's easy. Just right click, new sketch. Now the front is here, so I want to extend this way, meaning I want to take this, I'm going to start from that point, I'm just going to drag it out this way. Hit letter N, and 1.5, so 1.5 by 10.25, 10.25, enter. And now just hit the extrude button, and we want to extrude 0.75. Now this is important. Instead of add, I'm going to go new. If you look down here, it'll create a new part. Now the reason that's important is because I can hide parts then. If I would have done add, it would have just added it to the other part, and if I wanted to hide it, I would have to hide the whole thing. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go new. So again, it's a new part, just like that. Now let's build the other side. Let's do it just the same way. Right click, new sketch, N, and this time I'm going to put a point right here. So I'm going to select this, I'm going to use the letter U, or the use command. I hit U, and now it transfers that point right there. I could do that with lines too. Just hit the letter U, and it'll bring lines up. But all we really need is that point. Because now I can go like this, and I go right down to that point, and I extrude 0.75, enter, and again make sure it's new, and now I have like that. Next, let's make these pieces here, which are part C's. So let's go to part C. First thing I'm going to do is draw a line that's 5 inches long. So I'm going to create a new sketch here. I'm going to go N to flatten it out. Now I want to, now if you look at this picture, these pieces sit lower than part A. They line up with parts E. So let's start with a line from this point here. So I need to start from this corner here and go up, but I'm not getting any reference. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is hit the escape key, and I'm just going to choose this corner here, and I'm going to use the U, or used command, letter U, and you can see that it put a point on this plane here that I can now use. So once again, the line, and make that 5 inches. Move that out so you can see it. Next thing I do is I offset another line that's 1.25 inches over. So I'm going to select this line. I'm going to do the offset command. I'll drag this out, hit enter, and enter 1.25 inches. Next, I want to bring these lines out. They measure 0.313. So line command, just bring this out, 0.313. And the one down below is also 0.313. Enter. I'm going to just zoom into this area here. Now one thing you could do, because we created these as new parts, is we could turn off these parts just to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. We don't need this side part anymore because we've referenced that there, so we could just turn them off. Next, this circle, or this arc, is part of a circle with a diameter of 2.375. What I do is just put the circle anywhere. 2.375. And now it shows that the center of this circle here is 1.75 inches from this edge and is 2 inches from this edge. So this is easy. Just go to Dimension. I'm going to click on the center of that circle and this edge here. And that again was 2 inches. Hit Enter. Now you see it went 2 inches in the wrong direction. That's okay. Just go back up to here, and instead of a +2, we'll go -2, because that will put it below this line. Instead of above this line, positive, it'll put it below this line. Now hit Return, and there it is. Next, we need to move it over this way. It needs to be 1.75 from this edge here. So select the center, select this edge, and 1.75, Enter. And it moved it into place. Now here's a problem you might end up having. Instead of this moving, these lines could end up moving, where this whole bunch moves over this way. If you don't want that to happen, just take one of the lines, go up here, and use the Fix command. Let's click on that. And now this is fixed in place. Fixed means it just kind of glues it there. But in this case, it's not going to move because we've already kind of glued it to this edge. If you remember this side part here, we used this point, so that point was glued down to this edge. But if we hadn't used that, chances are pretty good that this would have moved, so you'd need that Fix command. Here, so I undid the Fix command. Okay, again, 1.75, it moves it over, and now the last thing we need to do is trim this here, create the line, and then connect all the lines and trim the rest. So there's a line that comes down 0.75 inches, and I trimmed this long line away, but I've left this line so I know where to come off of. So now I just go down, 0.75, Enter. And now I connect the dots. Line from here now to here, and cut everything away. Extrude, 0.75 inches, and there it is. Now, to do this other side, all we really need to do is go back into this sketch. And again, I'm going to hide these other things here. And I'm going to draw a line that's at the midpoint of part A. I'm going to draw it straight up, just like that. And now I'm going to select all these lines, and I'm going to use the Mirror command. It says select a mirror line. It brought all that stuff over. I click OK, and it extruded it out. I'll bring these other parts back, and that part is done. Next, let's make the disc that fits in here, part D. We need a circle that's a radius of 1.125. Remember, we've been making circles, but diameter, not radius. Radius is half the diameter. So when it says radius of 1.125, that means from here to here. But we need from here to here, so it's double this. So 1.125 times 2 equals 2.25. So I'm going to select the back of this part, and I'm going to do a sketch in. And let's just zoom in on this area here. So I'm going to take a circle, and you can see it references these edges. And that circle, again, needs to be 2.25. 2.25. There. And I'm going to move this off to the side because I need to make this radius, which is 0.459. I'm going to go right here, right to the center, and right there, and 0.459. Uh-oh, what happened? Don't forget radius, so we have to double that. So 0.459 times 2. So 0.459 times 2 equals 0.918. 0.918. Now I'm going to just slice some stuff away here that I don't need. And extrude. The extrusion is 0.75. And there it is. But I forgot something. I forgot the hole. The hole is 0.375. Now I could create a sketch and extrude the hole in, or just go back to this sketch. And again, diameter 0.375. Looks good. Now I update it. And there it is. Again, I want to point out, when you're reading blueprints, make sure that you're watching for radius compared to diameter. This is the symbol for diameter. Diameter is going all the way across, whereas radius is going from the center out. And diameter is twice the radius. Next, let's do the bottom. You can see the bottom here is part B. Now you have to be careful because if you look here, you can see that the bottom is just a little bit wider than this part here. The width being 5.25. Now this width we can easily figure out. If I select this edge and then this edge, it tells me down here that the distance between the two is 5 inches. So that means the base, being 5.25, is sticking out 0.125 on each side. Alright, so I'm going to go from here, right-click, New Sketch. Oh, I don't have the sketch command on here, that's alright, just click up here, Sketch. Go in. Now it's lined up on the back, but it sticks out that 0.125 on the sides. So I'm going to start from the back of this. And I'm going to make a line sticking out 0.125. And now using the end of this line, I can take my rectangle, start there, and it tells me 5.25 by 3.5. So 3.5 by 5.25. And there it is. Now I just have to extrude it. And we have to be careful because 0.75. Now we need to make the little dish on the bottom here. To do this, I'm going to get rid of all this other stuff. So I'm going to just start hiding parts, just like that. The dimensions of the dish are here. It's saying it's 1.125 from this edge to this edge. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a sketch, and I'm just going to make a rectangle inside of there. Now you can see it had dimensions on it. You don't want dimensions. Here's what I mean. If I go like this and I hit enter, enter, these dimensions are going to constrain, or they're going to make this exactly 3.626. I don't want that. On here, I'm not really given the dimensions of this, only how far it sits off this way and this way. So I'm going to delete these dimensions. And now I'm just going to go 1.125 from this edge to this edge. And now I need to go 1.125 from this end to this end. Now I'm going to go 1.125 from this edge to this edge. We're assuming these are both the same. So I'm going to go from here to here, 1.125. Now it went the wrong way. We want it to go in. So I'm going to put a negative in front of this, just like that. And now 1.12, and now 0.5 here and 0.5 here. Here to here. 0.5, I know I'm going to have to go a negative 0.5 to get it to push down this way. And then from here to here, do the same thing. Again, if I go 0.5, it moves it this way. I don't want that. I want minus 0.5. Again, we're using those minuses to control the direction that these lines will move. And now it says it needs to go in 0.125. So that means it just gets extruded. Remove 0.125. I'm going to tilt it a little bit just to see what's going on here. There it is. And now hit OK. Now I've seen where it's happened where this is not working. Sometimes when you click merge with all, if there's other parts that it's touching, if I would have left the other parts visible, sometimes just clicking this merge with all will help that. And there it is. Now let's bring all these other parts back by just right-clicking on one of them and show all parts. We're almost done. What I've done now is I've changed the colors in all of these parts. These are all wood, so I chose a color that looks kind of like wood. To do that, I just went over here, right-click, edit appearance, and choose a color. If I want to do all of these, I'm holding my shift key down to select everything, and then edit appearance. Another thing that I did is I changed the names of these parts. I just right-click and rename. That way I can quickly go and turn parts on, turn parts off, and so forth. Now let's put the top on. That's part F. That measures 1.5 by 5. Again, just selecting the surface, right-click, new sketch. .5 by 5, extrude it up, 0.75 inches. Right-click to rename and to edit appearance. And now the final part, the plexiglass. This measures 5 inches by 9 inches, and it's 0.125 thick. So I'm going to select this surface, right-click, new sketch, N, and 5 inches by 9, and it starts here. We can't have the plexiglass up here because this piece eventually will pivot to allow us to put the candy in. So we're going to start it down here. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is if you choose right here, it's going to want to glue itself to the edge of this. So if I click like that, I hit return, you can see all these red marks. It says sketch could not be solved. And again, I've kind of glued it to this edge here. So if I try and change this dimension, sometimes it doesn't want to move. Sometimes it does. So here's how I solve that. Sometimes I will just drag it over 5 and 9. And now it's not constrained to the part below it. And I'm going to right away hit extrude. 0.125. Now I forgot the hole here. That hole is 1 inch diameter. That's right, I can go back into the sketch. Again, I'm going to use the knob. That's there. The center line. And 1 inch. And now it should update. There it is. Now I'm going to change this color. I'm going to add a transparency to it. Edit appearance. I'm going to choose like an off-white. And now this slider here will give me some transparency. And I'm going to go back, change this one to here. And this project is done.